everybody, and welcome to the channel Out of Ammo, Out of Time. I'm your host, as always, Krabby Terror 8, and here we are in episode... is it episode 10 or episode 11? I forget. Well, it's whatever the episode is of the Investigator game, Season 2. And here we are with Ashcan Pete. Yes, and it's Ashcan's turn, the final investigator from the Dunwich Legacy, to step up and have a go at the Midnight Masks. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Just quickly, what we do in the Investigator games and why it's called that is we take each Investigator true solo and we put them through a scenario, and this season is the Midnight Mask. Last season was the Gathering, and we see how they go, and depending on how they go, we put them into a league table like this one. And as we can see at the moment, at the top of the league table, we have Roland. And unfortunately, last week, Jim didn't do too well at all. Poor old Jim had a very, very, very unlucky run. Now, if you are new to the channel, you can see here these scores. These are the aggregate scores of how the investigators did in the first season, and then we add the VP that they get from the Midnight Masks. So if you haven't seen season 1, I would encourage you to watch that first, so you can see all of the investigators are there. And I should just make the point that actually there's some new investigators who have just emerged, obviously from the Dream Eaters campaign. I want to take them through the Gathering, and then they can do the Midnight Masks, but Fantasy Flight Games haven't released the official starter decks yet, so I need to wait, and as soon as those official starter decks arrive, I will do the Gathering with those new investigators, which I'm very much looking forward to doing. Anyway, back to Pete, and of course Duke, his trusty sidekick. Where would Pete be without Duke? So, yeah, I had a chat to Pete and Duke in the Miskatonic Trailer. Thanks again for Miskatonic Trailer Hire. Their motto is, if you're going, we're coming. That's their motto. Good old Miskatonic Trailer Hire. So we had a chat beforehand. Obviously, Duke and Ashcan are here at the house in Arkham, waiting to start the Investigator games. He's not a man of many words, as you know, Ashcan Pete, so he just played a few songs. A couple of John Denver tracks are always welcome. And so I played a couple of songs, had a little bit of a chat. He's a very, very modest man, Ashcan Pete, because if you know, and sorry spoilers, he was the fastest to complete the Gathering in only 8 turns. No one got close to that, or maybe Rita might have gotten close. I can't remember now, but yeah, blistering run. So I was asking Ashcan if he felt he was going to get through this as fast or be as effective, so he was very low-key about the whole thing. So he's a pretty modest guy, we're a man of few words, so we wish him all well in this scenario. Now, just on his deck, yes, so we've upgraded Ashcan's deck in a couple of ways. First of all, as with all the starter decks, they're less than ideal, so what we've done is we've just tried to streamline it and made it more focused. The main changes I made is that I added he had 6 XP to spend, so I added in 2 Dark Horse, and as a consequence took out some other cards, but added in a Madame Lebranche, so we now have Peter Sylvester and Madame Lebranche available as allies. We added in extra survival instinct, added in a lucky, and added in a look what I found, because this is a scenario where getting a couple of clues fast is actually really good. We took out the stray cat, took out the bait and switch, took out the laboratory assistant, just trying to make it, took out dig deep, because if we're using Dark Horse we don't use dig deep, of course, so we just tried to make it a bit more of a focused deck in that way. So hopefully we should do okay. I think Ashcan's deck was generally fairly balanced anyway, so I'm hoping with the addition of Dark Horse and some of these other cards, it should work reasonably well. So we'll see how he goes. I'm interested in your thoughts about whether you think we upgraded Ashcan in the way you would have liked, or whether you had some other recommendations about what we might have done, but that's what we ended up doing. Now, we defeated the Ghoul Priest and all that, so we don't have Leech Chandler in our deck. We do have the house. All right, so let's start, and let's just shuffle up our deck again. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? Well, of course, we want Dark Horse. We want a weapon, Fire Axe, essentially. So we can get Fire Axe and Dark Horse, and we can get an ally into play. I'll be pretty happy with those things. I think they're the core things that we want in our opening hand. If we can grab all of those things, then I'll be a happy person. So let's draw our 5 cards and see how we go. And let's see, what do we get? Well, there we go. There's Dark Horse. Perfect. There's a Fire Axe, also fantastic. So we don't need the knife, so I'll take the knife out, just put it here for now. Survival Instinct is about evading, which can be handy sometimes. We don't need the flashlight at the moment, so yeah, so I might throw in the flashlight as well. Do I keep the Survival Instinct? I'll probably do. I'll probably throw those 3 in and draw another 3. See how we go. We draw into another flashlight. There we go. I mean, the thing about flashlight is, I guess it's fine. It's just that, as you would know, flashlight doesn't interact with Duke. They're separate things. So I suppose if we want Ashcan to investigate himself, then I guess the flashlight is handy. Try and try again. That's a pretty good card as well. I mean, it's double willpower, and after a skill test is failed, you can exhaust, and try again and return the skill card to your hand. So that's kind of quite a nice little effect as well if you have that down on the table. So there's a couple of nice things here. Lucky is also always welcome. So there we go. That's our opening hand. So I guess we're off and running. Crowd goes wild. We're here at the house, ready to roll. And so let's see what we're going to do. So I think our first action will be to pay 3 and bring out Dark Horse. It's our first action. Our second action, I'm going to actually use this ability here, which is we can draw a card and gain a resource. So we'll gain a resource and we will draw a card, and we draw into another Fire Axe. Well, yeah, okay. And then for our final action, I think we spend 1 and we bring out the Fire Axe. Yes, okay. So Dark Horse isn't going to work at the moment because we need no resources, but we can decide whether we're going to spend resources or not. I was hoping that we would maybe draw into an ally, but so far that's not the case. So I think probably next time I'm going to take no resources so that we boost our abilities, and then probably play out the flashlight, for example, which will get us down to 0 and increase our stats by 1. That's probably what we're going to do. Okay, so that's our first set of actions. It's a pretty standard thing. We brought out Dark Horse, we took a resource and drew another card, then we played the Fire Axe, and that's the end of our first turn. So next time we'll bring out the flashlight, we'll get the clue, and either we'll personally get the clue or we'll and then we can use Duke to move and investigate, because that's a really fantastic investigate a connecting location. So that's probably what we're going to do. So we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of, so we move into the upkeep phase. Let's flip these over. We're not going to take a resource because we don't have to with Dark Horse. And we're going to draw another card. And what do we draw into? We draw into Paranoia. So discard all of your resources. Well, you know, that's actually quite a nice that's quite a nice weakness to have when you're playing Dark Horse. So there you go. We've lost all our resources anyway. So we now are running at +1. There we go. That's actually quite handy that Paranoia was our weakness. That was just a random draw during the first season. Okay, so there we go. That's the upkeep phase. So we move into the first Mythos phase. So let's pop up to here. We're in turn 2 now. First Doom's down on the table. So it's time now to see what the lovely encounter deck has for us. And we draw into a locked door, which goes where there is most clues, which of course is at the moment is the house. So cannot be investigated unless you break down the door with a fight of 4. Okay, so that's the Mythos phase. So we move into the investigation phase. 3 actions. Now we could fight, of course. We could fight of 4 +1 damage. So we could spend time fighting and getting this clue. But to be honest, I think we're better off just moving on, to be honest, rather than messing about. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to exhaust Duke. Here we go. I'm going to exhaust Duke. We're going to investigate with a space skill value of actually 5, and we're going to do it at a connecting location. So we are going to move to a connecting location as part of this investigation, and we're going to investigate Rivertown. So it's a 1 versus a 5. A 1 versus a 5. Chaos Bag gives us an Elder Sign, which is brilliant because then we can ready Duke back up. Wow. It's a nice start, and we get the clue. So we get our first clue here from Rivertown. Fantastic. And because we've readied Duke again, we can, for our second action, we can exhaust Duke again. We can do the same thing. We can investigate a move to a connecting location immediately. So we can move to south side. Flip that. Which one is it? It's again historical. You would think I wasn't changing this. I am randomly choosing this every single time. Mars Boarding House would have been really fantastic since we don't have an ally, but that's all right. We're investigating with, so we're a 5 versus a 3. A 5 versus a 3. Let's just do that, and we get I think that's a -2, so we do succeed. Place 1 doom on the nearest cultist enemies. Well, there are no cultist enemies, so we succeed in getting the second clue. Let's grab that. And I think for our third action, we'll bring out the first cultist. So for our third action, we'll spend the 2 clues, and we will bring out the first cultist, who happens to be Peter Warren. Geez, he comes up a lot. Okay, Peter Warren, we will put him in Miskatonic. It's so weird. Like, you would think I'd never shuffle these up. Okay, we'll put Peter Warren here. We just need 2 clues for Peter. So what we'll do is we'll pop over to St. Mary's Hospital. I don't know if there's 2 clues. I can't remember. Should know, but anyway, I think there are. We'll pop over to St. Mary's Hospital and grab some clues. I might grab 3 cards while I'm here as well. So there we go. That's the end of our turn. So that was a pretty successful turn. We didn't investigate the house because of the locked door. So what we did was we exhausted Duke and investigated the Rivertown. We successfully did that. We got an Elder Sign, so Duke came back up. So we successfully investigated Southside, which is fantastic. And and then we used our third action to bring out Peter Warren. So there we go. That's a pretty good round. Okay, we move into the enemy phase. The only enemy is Peter Warren. He doesn't move. So we move into the upkeep phase. We'll flip these back over. Are we going to take a resource? Are we going to take a resource? I don't think so. I don't think we take a resource at the moment. And we'll take another card. And we get a... look what I found. So, which would be great, but we don't have any resources to spend it. So, that's all right. Okay. So, yeah, that's the end of our upkeep phase. So we will move into the second Mythos phase. Up the top here, so we're in turn 3 to Doom. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us, and things have changed fast. We get the Wizard of the Order. Now we can put the Wizard of the Order in any empty location, so I think we'll put him here, and he gets a Doom on him, so we definitely want to deal with him. We don't want him messing things up for us, so there we go. So, yes, Wizard of the Order. Okay. So we will move into the investigation phase. And so we've got 3 actions. Sorry, I should have readied Duke. Now, if you read Arkham DB, you don't suffer attacks of opportunity for investigating a connecting location. So the way that it works is you investigate. If you had enemies at Southside, you would you take an attack of opportunity there, and then you would investigate St Mary's Hospital and not take an attack of opportunity. So we are going to do that. So what we're going to do is, for our first action, we are going to do we want to do that? Hold on. No, we want to fight with Duke, I think, because this Wizard of the Order, now we are a +1. If we fought him, we would be a 2, 3, 4. We would be a 4 versus a 4, which we could do because we've got lucky. But if we use Duke, then we are going to be a 5 and do +1 damage. So actually, I've changed my mind on that. I'm actually just going to move. I'm going to move to St Mary's Hospital, flip St Mary's Hospital, engage the Wizard of the Order. Oops. Okay. I'm going to engage the Wizard of the Order. So that was our first action. And now for our second action, we're going to fight. So we're going to fight the Wizard of the Order with Duke. So he is with Dark Horse. He fights with a fight value of 5. So we're a 5 versus a 4. We could put in the Fire Axe. Remember, is there? There is, but we should probably bring out the flashlight because we don't want to end up getting crypt chilled. Yeah, I'm going to use this. So we're going to make it a 4, 5, 6. A 6 versus a 4. And we've always got lucky if it doesn't. So we're going to do a 6 versus 4 with Duke against the Wizard of the Order. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we succeed and we do 2 points of damage because Duke gives you +1. So we succeed and kill the Wizard of the Order. So that's our second action. Third action. What do we do for our third action? I think for my third action, I'm going to actually take a resource because I want to spend a resource. Because I want to bring out either look what I found or try again. Well, no, that's not a asset. That's an event. Sorry. I want to bring out a flashlight because for 2 reasons. I can investigate, but also if we do get a crypt chill, then we can throw something away. We're not throwing away Fire Axe. Okay, so that was our 3 actions. So we moved to the hospital. we killed the Wizard of the Order, and then we took a resource. All right, enemy phase, no enemies to speak of. So we move into Upkeep. Going to take another resource, draw a card, and we draw into Peter Sylvester. Oh, okay, cool. Wow, now I'm really glad we took the resource because we can bring old Pete out, and that would be great. Fantastic. Okay, things are working out really, really well. Good. So things are on track. The main thing is we need 2 clues to get rid of Peter Warren. So that's a slight problem because normally you would have 2 clues, but we left the house one. So we might need to just take an attack of, oh no, we can use Duke to, yeah, you're all telling me, but you can use Duke to get the other clue from Miskatonic University. So what we should do is try and get this clue here under our own steam, then use Duke to get the second clue at Miskatonic University, and then we can parley with Peter Warren. That sounds like a plan. Fantastic. Okay, let's just ready Duke. All right, so let's move into the next phase of the Mythos phase. So let's go up here. So we're in turn 4. We're halfway through the agenda 1, so we need to get a move on, and hopefully we can do that. But first of all, we've got to see what the encounter deck gives us, and the encounter deck gives us a false lead, but that's going to get Surge, I think, because we have no clues. So we can discard that and go again. And I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I've been talking about Crypt Chill. It's almost like, and of course we can't use Dark Horse, doesn't apply. And we've thrown in our other Fire Axe. Oh boy, never mind. Okay, so it's a 4 versus a 4. A 4 versus a 4. I'm going to put in this try again to make it a 6 versus a 4. I'm not going to obviously put in Peter Sylvester. Okay, 6 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a -2, so we're fine. 6 versus 4. Woo. Wow. Oh boy, talk about predicting the future there. Anyway, we succeeded just fine. So we move into the investigation phase. Okay. Now I do want to bring out Peter Sylvester, but let me think about this. So if we bring out the flashlight, so if we try to, it's a Shroud of 2. Okay, it's a Shroud of 2. We have an intellect of 2. So, and we've got lucky, and we've also got look what I found, but that's for 2 clues. So I'm thinking for our first action, if we do this, our first action, we bring out the flashlight. Second action, investigate. We're going to be left with a third action. Yeah. Okay. I think we're just going to have to do that. I was hoping to get, because the other way of doing it actually would be to throw in look what I found and the flashlight. So the other way would be to investigate 2, make it a 2 versus a 4. Maybe we do that. Maybe we just try and be as efficient as possible. So what I'm going to do first is Ashcan Pete is going to investigate. I'm going to throw in look what I found. So that's going to give us a 4 versus a 2. A 4 versus a 2. Chaos Bag, I think that's a failure, isn't it? I think it is. Okay, so we failed. Oh, no. We can pass. We can play lucky. Get another 2 to the skill value. I didn't have to use lucky for that, but what the hell. Okay, so we get the clue. So it was a -3, so we were 4 versus 2. We got a -3, and then we added lucky and succeeded. So we get the clue. The second action, we are going to exhaust Duke. and we're going to investigate here in Miskatonic University. So we'll flip that over. So it is a 4 shroud location. And we are we're a 4 as well. We're a skill of 4 as well. Maybe that wasn't so, doesn't matter. I'm going to throw in the flashlight and make that a 5 versus a 4. That's right, isn't it? So we're a 4. We can't use Dark Horse because we've got a resource. And we've thrown in the flashlight. So 5 versus 4. And we succeed. Wow. We don't take an attack of opportunity. So we get the clue. And that's our 2 clues. And then for our 3rd action, we will parley Peter Warren. Spend 2 clues and add him to the victory display. Well, that worked out really well. We had to use a lucky to do it. But that actually worked out really well. And we got Peter Warren. Yay! Well done. Okay, so that was, we succeeded and got a clue at the hospital. We then used Duke to investigate Miskatonic University. And then we used our 2 clues that we gained, which are here, to bring out Peter Warren. So all good. So we have a victory point. Nice and fast and efficient. Fantastic. So I think the next time I would like to bring out Peter Sylvester. So I think that would be a good idea to do that. And the other thing is, I think not only that, but I think we should try and get this other clue because that will give us another victory point. Okay. Successful. So we move into the enemy phase. No enemies to speak of. So we move into the upkeep phase. We'll flip these. We will take a resource and we will draw a card. And we draw into the baseball bat, which is 2-handed. So we wouldn't be using it unless we lost the fire axe to, say, another crit chill. But, you know, it's got a fight pip on it. So that's something. Getting a little bit low on cards. Because we've got to be careful because the Mythos phase is now coming up. We are now in turn 5 and 4, so the Masked Hunter will be popping in another couple of turns. So we need to get ready for him. So we need a few more cards in the hand, and we definitely want Peter Sylvester on board because we might need to evade him before we attack him. Those sorts of things. So, okay. But anyway, before that, let's see what the Duke should have been readied. Sorry. There we go. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And the encounter deck has an Obscuring Fog, which I think we did put onto our location. Miskatonic University is a very foggy place. We've had lots of Obscuring Fogs, and that's going to increase the... That's a bit of a pain, actually, because that's going to increase the shroud to 6, which makes it very difficult to investigate. So I think we'll probably be leaving Miskatonic University. I don't want to have to try and do that. Okay. All right, so there we go. There's Obscuring Fog. Okay, so we move into the investigation phase. So first action, I'm going to take a resource. Second action, I'm going to spend those resources and bring out Peter Sylvester. There we go. So we've now got an base evasion of 5, which is pretty good. We've got 1 action left. I think we just move. I think we move up to north side. There we go. So you can spend 5 resources to get 2 clues. It's also a victory. So we will... actually, I just realized what I should have done. Sorry, I will go back here. I'll exhaust Duke. So we'll use Duke to go there. So in the final action, we will investigate with Duke. So that's a shroud of 3. And Duke has a base skill value of 5 with Dark Horse. So it's a 5 versus a 3. 5 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives me a -1, so we get that clue. There we go. Okay, very good. All right, so that was a pretty successful round. We took a resource, we brought out Peter Sylvester, and then we investigated Northside with Duke. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Brilliant. So let's move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. So we move into the upkeep phase. I'll flip these. Should I take a resource? I'm not going to take a resource. I'm just going to draw a card. We draw into a perception. Okay, very nice. All right. Okay, so let's move into the Mythos phase. So we move into the Mythos phase. Turn 6, Doom 5. So the Masked Hunter will be arriving shortly. Yeah, so we need to get ready for him. All right, so let's see what the encounter deck has. Encounter deck has Hunting Shadow. You must either spend a clue or take 2 damage. Spend a clue or take 2 damage. I think we take the 2 damage at the moment. I think we can do that. I don't want to get rid of our clue at the moment. So there we go. That's the end of the Mythos phase. So we move into the investigation phase. Now we need to just have a look at where we're at. So we're up here in Northside. There's 1 clue left. The Masked Hunter will be arriving shortly. We can probably evade him. It would be good to get another victory point here. So I'm thinking we probably pick up this clue as a first thing. Yeah. Yes. I'm just trying to think. We've got to be also careful where we... So I think we pick up the clue. We find out what the next cultist is, and then that can help us decide where we want to move next. Because we don't want to be in a... So the only issue will be is if we're in Northside and we pick up, I think it's Virginia, I can't remember her name, the one that we have to spend resources. We're then going to be engaged, and well, I guess we could, if we use perception to do the investigatoring, then I suppose we can evade. Yeah, we can do that. So it shouldn't be too bad. Virginia Devereaux, whatever her name is. So it's a low risk, and I definitely don't want to move to downtown because Wolfman Drew is much more difficult. But I don't necessarily want to move away to Miskatonic University just for the hell of it. So I think it's an acceptable risk. So what we're going to do first is, sorry, I should have, Duke should have been readied. First thing I'm going to do is personally, Ashcan Pete is going to investigate. He's got an intellect of 3 with Dark Horse. We're going to make that a 5. So that's going to be a 5 versus a 3 at Northside. So a 5 versus a 3. Chaos Bag. It's another tablet. We keep getting these tablets. So we don't pass that. And I think you're supposed to place one of your clues on your location. Oh, dear. That's so annoying. Okay. So that definitely didn't go according to plan. That was really frustrating. Anyway. Okay, so that didn't work. So we've got 2 actions left, and the Masked Hunter will be on us. So I guess, what do we do? I might draw a card, because if we need a resource, we'll need to know what it is. So I'm going to draw a card, and we draw into a magnifying glass. And then what I might do is I'm going to exhaust Duke, and we're going to investigate here. So Duke's ability is you can investigate with a base skill of 4. So that gives us a 5 versus a 3. So we drew a card. Now we're going to investigate. Chaos Bag. Hello? Chaos Bag? Gives us a -1, so we succeed and we get that clue back. Okay, so that was a sort of a frustrating round, actually. We failed in our investigation, personal investigation, even with perception. We lost our clue. We drew a card and we drew into a magnifying glass, which is not the greatest card to get, not something we need that much. And we then used Duke to get our clue back, essentially. So that's the end of our turn. We move into the enemy phase. There are, of course, no enemies to speak of on the board. We actually haven't drawn any through the encounter deck, he says. So we will move into the upkeep phase. We'll flip these over. We are going to take a resource because we're probably going to chuck it onto the fire axe to get extra for the skill test. And we'll draw a card, and we draw into the leather coat, which is a nice thing to get. We can either use it as a soak or we could use it as part of the fight. I'm not sure which we'll do. But anyway, that's the end of the upkeep phase. So now everything's going to happen because we are now in the Mythos phase. We are in turn 7. The 6 doom have occurred. So this goes down to 0. And indeed, the Mouse Hunter is upon us. 4 fight, 6 health, 2 evasion. He has arrived. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Hello, I'm going to kill you. All right. So I think we're pretty well set up anyway. So there we go. The Mouse Hunter has arrived. And let's see what we get from the encounter deck. And we get an Acolyte. So, where are we going to put the Acolyte? I think we will put the Acolyte onto downtown. And we will put a doom because we don't want the Acolyte to be hanging around. So we want to deal with the Mouse Hunter and then get to downtown and deal with the Acolyte. Okay, so that's the end of the Mythos phase. So we are here in the investigation phase with the Mouse Hunter. I keep forgetting to do this. I keep forgetting to ready Duke. Of course, he's readied after the upkeep phase. So what do we do here? So we got a couple of options here. Does he have Retaliate? He isn't a Retaliate, so I think so we could waste some time evading him, but I'm actually thinking we might be better just trying to kill him. So I think we'll do that. So the fire axe. So the first thing is we want to spend this resource. So the fire axe is. You can get +2 to this skill test. So we can spend a resource. So spend a resource, so we get +2. So that gives us 4. And with Dark Horse, we are there for a 5. A 5 versus 4, 6 versus 4, 7 versus 4. So I'm making us a 7 versus a 4. So we need a -3 or better, and because we've got no resources, we do +1 damage. And we get an Elder Sign. Oh, boy. Okay. +2 and ready Duke. Well, that's kind of a bit... Oh, well, never mind. So we do 2 points of damage for that. So that's a good start. So we do 2 points of damage. So we're a third of the way there. Our next action will be to exhaust Duke. We exhaust Duke, so a Duke, that was our first action. Our second action is for Duke to fight. So Duke is fighting with a base skill of 4, but with Dark Horse, he gets a base skill of 5. Five versus 4. Don't think there's anywhere else we can boost this. So we're a 5 versus a 4. So a -1 or better. Chaos Bag gives us a Skull. And Skull is the highest number of doom on a cultist enemy, which is 1. So yeah, because of the Acolyte. So that is a success. So that is a success. So that's another 2 points of damage. So he's now up to 4. And then I think we throw in the magnifying glass to ready Duke again. So we can do that. Discard a card. ready an asset, and we will fight again. So we'll exhaust Duke again. So that's a 5 again, isn't it? Yes, a 5 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a skull again, so we succeed, and we do 6 points of damage. That was actually really, really lucky. We managed to defeat the Masked Hunter. Wow, there we go. 3 actions, 6 damage, Masked Hunter. So we now have 3 victory points and 2 cultists in the deck. Fantastic. That was a really, really great round. So this round we personally fire-axed the Masked Hunter, and then Duke succeeded in attacking, and then we threw in the magnifying glass, and Duke readied and attacked again, and we killed the Masked Hunter. Brilliant. Enemy phase, there were no enemies to speak of, so we move into the upkeep phase. We will flip these tokens. Do we take a resource? We're ready, Duke. I don't think we do. And I think we just take a card. And what do we get? We get Working a Hunch. Fast play, only discover a clue at your location. Fantastic. Okay. Brilliant. That's a good card, except we have no money to spend on it. So we'll have to think about that. So we move into the Mythos phase. Let's go up here. We're in turn 8. 6. So this is behind by 1. So this should be there should be 7 doom down on the table, not including the acolyte. But if we're in turn 8, then there should be 7 doom. So there should have been 1 because the Masked Hunter came out last time, so that should have been down to 0. So I'm not sure why it's a doom of 1. I must have not quite clicked it down to 0. So this should be the first doom, but there's actually technically 2 doom on the table. All right, so let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And the encounter deck has Wings of Darkness. Test 4. If you fail, take 1 damage and a horror, and then move to a central location. So we are a 3, 4, 5. So we are a 5 evasion. We've got nothing else to throw in. So it's a 5 versus a 4. Chaos Bag is a -1, so we succeed again. Lots of -1, so that's fine. Okay, let's move into the investigation phase. So what do we do here? Let's have a look. So we are here in north side. We already have a clue. So we could, I'm thinking we could just spend 2 actions, fast play, get the clue, and then bring out the next. I'm thinking that's probably the quickest and best thing to do. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is first action. Whoops. First action, I'm going to take a resource. Second action, I'm going to take a resource. Then I'm going to fast play Working a Hunch and discover a clue. Get the clue. And then for the third action, I'm going to spend those 2 clues and bring out the next cultist enemy. So we'll shuffle these up. Oh, that's not the way to do it. Oh boy, shuffle them up. And we get Wolfman Drew. Oh, we believe in Wolfman Drew. Oh, I'd forgotten about that acolyte. Oh boy. I'd forgotten there was the acolyte there. Oh, I completely forgot. Yes, I'd forgotten he was there. I wasn't looking at the board. I'd completely forgotten. That's all right. So we've got a bit of fighting to do next time. So there we go. That's the end of our go. Yes, so we're going to need to be doing a bit of bashing next time. That's okay. All right, so that's the end of the investigation phase. We move into the enemy phase. There are enemies, but they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there. So we move into the upkeep phase. We'll flip these. we will take a resource, and we will draw a card, and we draw into Unexpected Courage. Very nice. Okay, so we'll move into the Mythos phase. We are now in turn 9. There is now 2 doom here, but actually there's 3 doom on the table, so we do need to deal with that. But let's see what the old encounter deck has for us, and the old encounter deck has Mysterious Chanting. So put 2 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Yeah, so that's changed the equation somewhat, because now there are 3 doom on the acolyte, so we can't afford for that to keep on. So we will need to deal with him quick smart. Yes, indeed. Okay, so yes. Oh boy, because there's now 3, 5. Yeah, so we will need to deal with it. Okay. All right, so we move into the investigation phase. And so I think, yeah, first thing we do is we move to downtown. We move to downtown. We'll take these 2 gentlemen and we'll put them here. Now we have a choice. Oops. We have a choice here about what we do, because the problem with Wolfman Drew is that he heals himself. When Wolfman Drew attacks, he'll damage. So I think at the moment we're not in imminent danger of the gender flipping. So I'm thinking we go ahead and try and kill Wolfman Drew. So our first action, we will spend a resource. So that gives us a 2, 3, 4. Gives us a 4. And we'll make that a 5. So we're a 5 versus a 4. I think I'm going to make that a 7. A 7 versus a 4 against Wolfman Drew. That's right, isn't it? 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 7 versus 4. Ah, and it's a fail. And not only is it a fail, we've got no cards in our hands, so we can... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack with Duke. So I'm going to exhaust Duke. And he's going to attack, so that's a 5 again. So we're going to do that. So we're going to do a 5. Do we do a 5 versus 4, or do we try and get rid of this? I'm thinking the problem is if we attack Wolfman Drew now, he's going to heal that back. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a 5 versus a 3 and try and get rid of this acolyte instead. 5 versus 3. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, and that's a failure. Oh dear. Oh dear. Third action. I think we're going to fight again, but Ashcan's going to fight with the fire axe. So that gives us a 2. That gives us a 3 versus 3. Ooh, that's not good. This is not good. I'm going to do it anyway. 3 versus 3 for Ashcan Pete. Chaos Bag gives us -2. So that was a terrible... Oh my goodness, that was terrible. So we failed all of our fights. So we move into the enemy phase. So Wolfman Drew does 2 damage. We'll put 1 damage on Duke. We will take a damage. And then we take a damage from the acolyte. So we will make that 4. Wow, that's really awful. So we move into the upkeep phase. We flip these. We are going to take a resource. We are going to draw a card. And we draw into a lucky. Well, that's good. Just ready Duke again. There we go. So let's move into the Mythos phase. So we will shift up to here. So we're in turn 10. There are now 6 doom on the table. So we need to get rid of that acolyte very, very soon. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And the encounter deck has a locked door. Okay. Location with the most clues, which is, well, there's a few locations. So let's just put it here. There's fogs and locked doors in Miskatonic University. Okay, so we move into the investigation phase. So let me just check. We're on 3-6. We're on 6 doom, so it's not too bad yet. We don't need to worry too much about that. So I think we try and get rid of Wolfman Drew again. Let's hope that this time things are going to go better. So Ashcan Pete is going to fight again. So we will use a resource to give us a 4-5. So we're a 5 versus a 4. I've just realized if we do that, we can't use lucky. Hold on, let me think about this. Or do we... Let's try and do a... See, this Acolyte with all the 3 doom, I've realized it means skulls are actually -3. So I'm actually thinking the better thing to do, I've realized it's actually a better thing to do, is to spend the resource to give us a 4-5 versus 3 and try and get rid of this Acolyte. So we're going to fight the Acolyte first. Chaos Bag gives us a -2. So we succeed, but put a doom on the nearest cultist enemy. So he goes and we put a doom on Wolfman Drew. I'm pretty sure that's what we do. Yep. So we succeed. We killed that Acolyte. That's the first action. So now, what do we do now? So we can fight with Duke, so a 5 versus a 4, or we can invade Wolfman Drew. So I'm thinking the best thing to do is to evade Wolfman Drew and then attack him. I think that's probably the thing to do. So he's a 2 and we're a 3-4-5. So 2 versus 5. So we're going to evade Wolfman Drew. Chaos Bag gives us a, okay, Elder Sign. So he's evaded. I'm just going to leave him here rather than putting him back up. And then for our third action, we will attack, because we can attack now. So Duke is so fight, base skill of 4 plus Dark Horse gives us a 5. So a 5 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us -1, so we succeed. So we put 2 onto Wolfman Drew. 2. Now he only heals if he attacks. Yeah. So that's good. Okay, that's maybe what we should have done last time now when I think about it. But anyway, that's what we didn't do. Okay, so that's all right. We're halfway there with Wolfman Drew. So hopefully next time we should be able to finish him off pretty easily. So we move into the enemy phase where Wolfman Drew is exhausted. And there's no other enemies on the table. So we will move into the upkeep phase. And we'll flip these. We will take a resource. We will draw a card. What do we draw into? We draw into emergency cash. Well, we can at least use emergency cash to ready Duke, if nothing else. So we'll move into the Mythos phase. So we're in turn 11. There is 5 doom down on the table at the moment. So we do need to do something about that. And let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And it has another obscuring fog. It's been obscuring fogs and locked doors. My goodness. Okay, so that makes downtown a shroud of 5. All right. So there we go. All right. So we move into the investigation phase. And sorry, Wolfman Drew. I always pressed the wrong side. Wolfman Drew has readied, of course, and so has Duke. Not being very good with my readies at the moment. Okay. So we've got 3 actions. So I guess we go ahead and it's a good job he doesn't retaliate. My goodness, if he retaliated and healed. Okay, so let's go ahead and attack Wolfman Drew. So I'm going to flip. I'm going to spend the resource. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are a 5 versus a 4. A 5 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a -3, so we miss. think we better evade. So I'm going to flip this, and we're going to evade. So a 3, 4, 5 versus 2 for evasion with Wolfman Drew, and we succeed. So he's evaded. Do we try and fight with Duke? That would be a 5 versus a 4. Or do we use the emergency cash? No, I think we try and fight. So we try and fight with Duke. 5 versus a 4. And we get an Elder Sign. Wow. Okay, so we succeed. And we do 4 points of damage to Wolfman Drew. That was very, very lucky. Okay. So good old Wolfman Drew is up in the victory display as well. That was a very lucky. We've been pretty lucky. And of course the Doom disappears. So we now have 3 cultists in the victory display, 2, 3, 4 victory points. So pretty well, doing pretty good here. I'm thinking what we need to do now is get ourselves a couple more clues and get into the graveyard. So I'm thinking what we might do is move to, then investigate the graveyard, and then finish up in the graveyard. I think that's probably the way to go. Now, I think with the graveyard we need 4 cards for if it is indeed turns out to be. Victoria Devereaux is more, well, anyway, I think, yeah, all over the place. What we'll do is we'll move to East Town and then Rivertown. We'll get ourselves into the graveyard, get the 2 clues in the graveyard, and then we will try and get out the last cultist, and hopefully it's either we can finish off fairly quickly there. That's our plan of attack. There are no enemies to speak of. We move into the upkeep phase. Do we take a resource? Yes, I think we take a resource. We draw a card and we draw into Unexpected Courage. Very nice. So we will move into the Mythos phase. We are now, time is running out. We're in turn 12, 5 Doom. We've got 3 more turns to go. Time is running out. We need to move fast. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And we get, of course, a Hunting Night Gaunt. Just when we're trying to get things done, we get the Hunting Night Gaunt. Of course we do. Okay, so let's move into the investigation phase. I think we try and evade the Hunting Night Gaunt. So we're a 4. I'll try and do it without spending this resource. Or do I trust? Yes, because we can always use lucky if we need to. So it's a 4 versus a 1. Chaos Bag gives us a -4. I think that is. Because that's a -2, isn't it? And it's like place 1 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Well, there aren't any cultist enemies on the table, but that's a -4. So we were a 3, 4 versus 1, but that's -5. So we can spend 1 and use lucky and evade the Hunting Night Gaunt. So evade him. Yep. And then for our second action, we're going to investigate East Town. So yeah, we're going to investigate East Town. So it's a Shroud of 2. Shroud of 2, and we are a 5. So 2 versus 5. Chaos Bag gives us, oh boy, I tell you, how many of these have we drawn? But we succeed, and luckily there's no cultist enemies on the board. Because I don't think he's a cultist enemy, is he? No, it's not. Okay, so we get the clue there. And then for our third action, we move again. And I think, hello? We move to Rivertown. Okay. So next time, we're going to get ourselves into the graveyard, and hopefully we can get the clues in the graveyard, and then we can bring out a final cultist. Okie dokie. So we move into the enemy phase. The enemy exhausted. We move into the upkeep phase. So the Hunting Knight Gaunt is readied here. Yep, he's here. Duke gets readied. There we go. Do we take a resource here? I don't think so. We don't take a resource, but we can draw a card. And we draw into scavenging. I actually want to keep the cards now in case we get Herman. And then we move into the Mythos phase. So we're now in turn 13. There are 6 Doom down on the table. Time is running very short. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And it has a Hunting Shadow. You must either spend a clue or take 2 damage. No, we're going to have to spend the clue. Yep. That's all right. Okay, so we move into the investigation phase. Okay. All right. So so here we are in Rivertown. So I think we move into the graveyard. Forced, after you enter the graveyard, test 3. If you fail, you must either take 2 horror. Okay, so we're going to test 3. 3 versus 5. I'm just going to straight up test it. 3 versus 5, and we succeed, so we don't take any horror. So that would be a Duke investigation. Sorry, should have done that. So our first action is to investigate with Duke in the graveyard. So he is investigate of 5. I think it's a 1. 5 versus 1, correct. Chaos Bag gives us a 0, so we get that clue. So that was our first action. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on? What was our first action? It should all be flipped over. There we go. First action. So our first action was to investigate the graveyard. We had to take a willpower test. We passed, and then we got the clue in the graveyard. We've exhausted Duke, so we can't use him to investigate again, unless we throw in emergency cash. But this is where what do we do here? Because we are a 2, 3 versus 1. 4 versus 1. Yeah, I think we straight up try and investigate without Duke. So hold on, we need the cards, don't we? Yeah, just trying to think what we do here. We don't want to get, because if we get Herman Collins out this time, it might not be Herman, but it could be Herman. Do we do 3 versus 1? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just go ahead and do a 3 versus 1, and we succeed. So we get the second clue. That's great. So we've now got 2 clues, but I don't want to. I'm worried about bringing out Herman Collins when we don't have 4 cards. So I'm going to do something slightly reckless here, and for my final action, I'm going to draw a card, which is a deduction. Okay, so we've got our 4 cards now. So what we can do next time is we can bring out a card. It might not be Herman, but at least we've got our 4 cards and we can move on from there. Okay, so we move into the enemy phase. So the good old the Hunting Knight Gaunt moves to East Town. So yeah, we We need to get out of the graveyard one way or the other. I think if we get... Oh, we got a victory point here. I forgot about that. So let's put that up in the victory display. So if we get Herman, I think we finish there, but we'll see how we go. So we move into upkeep. We get our 3 actions. Do we take a resource? I don't think we do, but we draw a card and we draw into a perception. Okay. So we move into the Mythos phase. Time is really running out. Turn 14. Wow, we've got 1. We've got 1 left. So this is the final round. Let's see what the encounter deck has. The encounter deck gives us an acolyte, so that doesn't matter because it's going to flip anyway. So let's stick the acolyte in north side. Let's give him a doom. Like, we're up to 7, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, there we go. So we're into the final investigation phase. Here we go. This is our final chance. Sorry, we should have read Duke. This is our final chance. This is our final chance to do something. So I'm going to take our first action and spend the 2 clues. And I'm hoping... How many cards are left? We've got a 1 in 3 chance of getting Herman. Herman. And it is Herman Collins! Yes, it is Herman Collins! Oh, wow! How lucky was that? Wow, he spawns in the graveyard. Oh my goodness, that is so lucky. This is the opposite of Jim Culver's one. So he spawns in the graveyard. So for our second action, we will 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. We will discard 4 cards and we will put him in the victory display. And for our final action, we will indeed resign. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. There we have it. Wow, that was such a lucky ending. My goodness. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The crowd goes wild. Ashcan Pete, how well did he do? My goodness, he did so well. 14 turns. We got down to... We managed to resign before midnight struck. We didn't get 2 of the cultists, but we managed to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 victory points in that time. We really struggled with more victory points simply because we got things like locked doors and fogs, which stopped us getting a victory point here at Miskatonic University, which would have been nice. Oh, we must have... Did we get Northside as well? Ah, okay. I think we might have got Northside. I'll have to check the video, but actually we may have got Northside, so we may actually have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 victory points. I'll just have to check the video on that. But a really good, really fantastic time. Things went really, really well. Things got a little bit hairy there with Wolfman Drew, and we probably should have evaded him rather than keep fighting him, but it didn't matter in the end. We got there. We did really, really well. That was a very, very lucky draw with Herman Collins at the end. So that was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Ashcan Pete's an absolute legend in solo. I can see why he's so popular. And Dark Horse really, really makes a difference with the Fire Axe. So we had all the cards that we needed to make sure things went as smoothly as possible. So thank you very much for watching. Now, next time, we will be moving to the Carcosa Investigators. And so where are we at with the Carcosa Investigators? We will be starting with... Usually we will start with the Guardians. So next time, Mark Harrigan will be stepping up to the plate with Sophie. Is it Sophie? Yes, with Sophie. Sophie and Mark Harrigan will be stepping up to the plate to see how they go in the Investigator games, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they go. Safina was doing the best, of course, after the gathering, so all eyes will be on her when we get around to putting Safina through the Midnight Masks. So yeah, that will be very interesting. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Krabby Terror 8, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.